All those for the allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank everyone for their attendance, and the minutes can reflect the roll call of various trustees and staff. Let's move on to item 3. I need a motion for the approval of the 221 village board and file, the 117 finance committee, the 119 park and rec, 124 joint library board, 125 plan commission minutes as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Motion is second, as always, comments, questions, clarifications on the minutes.
I have one.
Chad, this is on me. When the last meeting I was there asking you about sponsorship for and I said the high school had a scoreboard with Meyer. In reality, it's US Bank.
Okay, no problem.
So that's my error.
Is that a minutes in the parking lot? Meeting?
It should have been. We did discuss it. I thought so too.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed. Anybody in the audience or online wishing to hear on a non-agenda matter? Okay, let's move on to item 5. Any information has been distributed in the normal fashion. Let's move on to item 6, resolutions, ordinances, action items. Item A is a resolution for the vacation and discontinuance of 3,238 square feet of public right-of-way. This is a project that has been in front of Plan Commission. So Jessica, you just want to give an overview before we head down the resolution path?
Sure, so this is just the final action that's needed to finalize this redevelopment project. As President Rockwell mentioned, we've gone through several iterations with this project, and it was determined that with just a little bit of this unused right-of-way along Wisconsin Avenue, the project could be really enhanced, increase their density and increase the value to the community. So it was determined that that this right-of-way dedication would really improve the site. And again, this is the last step. We did the initial step required by state statutes back in December to introduce this resolution, and now staff is bringing it forward for consideration. The developer, Aaron Natter, is also available if there's any questions on that side.
Okay, any questions for Jessica or Karen? Again, this really does clean up the site, and it does make for a much better project. Honestly, it's an opportunity to clean up a corner.
Jessica, have they have a startup date yet?
I don't believe so. Aaron, do you have a proposed start date? Back here.
Mr. Matter, the question at hand was whether or not you had a intended start date for the project?
They did communicate at Plan Commission, it would be as soon as possible.
Yes, it will be. I mean, as soon as if the board decides to dedicate the right of way, they'll complete the sale. They've waited until this point, obviously, to do that, and then he'll be moving forward immediately.
I spoke to the planner, excuse me, Mr. President, and there were no objections. The record should reflect that there were no objections filed to this roadway vacation.
Okay, this is a resolution, takes an offer motion to second.
I'll make an offer.
They make the motion for second.
Motion and second. Any final questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Let's move on to item B, and that is the development agreement.
Again, this is just a brief development agreement outlining what the project entails, and then outlining the the fees and other obligations of the developer.
And you're just looking for approval.
Yes.
Entertain a motion for the approval of the development agreement.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Move on to committee reports. For the committee of the whole, the classification of administrative assistant to administration to human resources generalist position discussed at length at committee of the whole, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion a second, final comments?
Yeah, one thing, I noticed every section is online services. That way we can. Rid of all that, now that's one item.
Wait,
Back up.
we're on. We're on the administrative assistant.
I'm in a hurry.
That's okay.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Move on to report of finance. And that is one item, and that is a motion to recommend the village board approve the draft community survey as amended. Be approved. I think Dave had a question.
Yes, on the survey, almost every section is online services. Same way that can be just one item.
I did attempt to clarify, and I think what I can do is under question 3, it notes online services, bill payment, permit application, et cetera, adding that clarification to each point of online service offerings.
On D and E and
Yep.
7, yeah.
Well, I think aren't those specific to those items?
They are, for instance, under question 3, item A, online services at Village Hall would be bill payment and permit applications. With Public Works, the online services would be brush pickup scheduling. For utilities, it'd be bill payment service, meter change scheduling, and so on. And so there is some differentiation there, and I tried to clarify that.
Survey, you would include that differentiation?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Jesse, I think for number 3, you could drop for the following, just start the sentence, please.
Oh, sure.
And then number 4, on your graph, under community, it still says alphabetical order.
Oh,
We're gonna list graph in first, it's not alphabetical order.
sure. Nope, that's a good catch. Thank you.
Last minute comments? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the draft, the final community survey with those edits.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Onwards. Park and Rec, and this is a resolution authorizing the application for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Boarding and Fishing Grant Program be approved. This is a resolution building a kayak launch over by Lions.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. So resolution takes an offer motion second.
I'll offer.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Offer motion second. I'll just say all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution passes. Let's move on to item F for the plan commission, and this is another resolution, and this is a resolution adopting the final plat for the Stonewall Farms subdivision phase 1. There's no fundamental changes from the preliminary plat, so this is more or less housekeeping. So I will entertain an offer motion in a second.
I'll offer.
Motion second.
Offer motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution passes. Let's move on to item 7, department and officers reports. Jesse.
Sure, I'll go ahead and bat lead off on report of staff. A few items to report this evening. The clerk's office will be visiting Village Point Commons for absentee voting per the request of the facility next week. In-person absentee voting will begin at Village Hall on March 22nd. In the meantime, the clerk's office will be busy holding training sessions for the election inspectors. We have 48 election inspectors, so 3 separate sessions will be held to provide a convenience opportunity for election inspectors to get caught back up on election procedural changes that have occurred recently. So that is also part of the normal protocols with regards to election prep. So the clerk's office, it's going to be quite busy as we move towards that spring election. Quick update on the snow removal operation from this morning. The DPW crew did report at 4 a.m. For a full plowing operation. They actually went through the village twice. They used 115 gallons of beet juice and 90 gallons of regular salt brine. Those are a treatment option that are really used to focus at intersections, hills, and bridges, just to help the regular road salt used be more effective for those areas that can be a bit more dangerous for traffic. Overall, 29.5 tons of salt was used for this particular operation. So quite a bit less from what we saw with that recent ice storm. So just to kind of give a little bit of context there to salt usage in the village and different strategies that we employ. Last but certainly not least, I want to call out and give kudos to our finance department. Our annual audit work was completed last week. The preliminary feedback is very positive. For the third straight year in a row, there are no journal entry amendments reported by the auditing firm. This means that all of the accounting journal entries handled by the finance department were accurately accounted for with no changes offered by our auditing firm. To help put this in context, the village's finance department made 484 journal entries. Each of those journal entries actually contains multiple transactions within them. For example, a single journal entry for the biweekly payroll encompasses a transaction for wages, a transaction for benefits, a transaction for other related calculations for each of the village employees. And that ranges anywhere between 100 and 200, depending on the time of year, whether we have seasonals in place, what have you. So again, multiple transactions within an individual journal entry. That said, an individual payroll journal entry alone can include over 400 separate transactions. So that being said, job very well done by our finance department. That volume of transactions and journal entries being handled without error. So that is for the third year in a row, our auditing firm has reported that. So hats off to them. Job well done to our finance department. And I wanted to share that with the board because it helps provide context to the volume and accuracy that is required with that department. So that's what I have for my report this evening.
Do they, does the accountant charge you for adjustments?
Yes.
So that's big cost savings as well.
Yes, to dovetail off of Trustee Krieger's point, a previous community in which I worked, I was actually shortly after I started in our first annual audit, I was pulled aside to be made aware of the amount of amendments and changes that they had to do to journal entries, which inflated the cost of the annual audit for that community. So that was something that needed to be rectified. We're in an excellent position. We do not have that issue. So, yes, sir.
Election, how many people voted?
28.3% voted in the spring primary. That was only about 10% of our population was eligible to vote. So that puts us at 2.83% voted, but it was only 10% of our population was eligible. So we had 233 voters.
Okay. Just a real quick, we had the one half of the Habitat for Humanity duplex had an open house last Sunday. I got there late, Jesse covered for me, so thank you very much. If you haven't seen it, it's a nice addition and a nice another component, a housing component for affordable housing. Any questions for Jesse or Jessica or Chief? Park and Rec. All right, let's move forward. And the licenses, we have 3 individuals listed. I'll entertain a motion for approval of licenses.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Item B, I'll entertain a motion to table. This is not made through plan commission yet. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 9 for the bills, entertain a motion for approval of village expenditures, $578,085.60.
I'll move to approve.
Second. Motion is second. The standard back and forth questions and answers came through. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 10, motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Mike, I have a quick question for you.